Faleminderit zoti Gogo, I undrua zonja Bushka, dhe I të undrua deputetit të Kuvendit, I undrua zoti Celibashi, Professor Fuga, fellow ambassadors, dear participants. I'm delighted to be with you at this conference today, organised by our strong partner CRIC for their report on the parliamentary elections last April. As you know, the United Kingdom is a strong supporter of democracy in Albania, and we very much welcome this call for inclusive dialogue and participation of civil and political society. We're very pleased to support this event as it encourages all stakeholders to demonstrate a commitment to the implementation of an inclusive electoral reform process. The United Kingdom has been actively supporting the election process in Albania through investing in the technical assistance of election monitoring and election bodies to raise election standards, through enhancing participation of the engagement of civil society and media, and we will continue this commitment over the coming years. And that includes support to the Central Election Commission, who I'm glad to see here today, despite all the work on the local elections, and thank you for your commitment, not just to the present, but also to shaping the future. The UK will continue to encourage further discussion on election reform and how to implement the various recommendations, including from other partners and the OSCE, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Ambassador Vincenzo shortly on the key points that we all should be focusing on in addition to those in this report. Now, Albania, of course, and the UK's support for Albania, our support is not altruistic only. Of course, we want to see a strong and prosperous Albania and Western Balkans, but it's also essential for a secure and stable Europe and the United Kingdom. And this is really crucial given the range of threats and issues that we face in the region. And it's in our shared interest to work together to help Albania build strong democratic institutions and accountable government. And we hope that that will help Albania on your Euro-Atlantic path and help fulfill the aspirations of Albanians. My message to Albanian colleagues across all political parties and other participants today is simple. Please consider how to implement the recommendations from the report. There's a lot in here, clearly, but we hope that we can crystallise the important recommendations from this, but also bring it together with other reports, the OSCE's reports on the elections and so forth. And with the partial local elections approaching on the 6th of March, this discussion is very timely and very necessary, because these elections are putting electoral reform back on the agenda. And please let's make sure that we make full use of this opportunity and not squander it. And my appeal to each of you and to each member of parliament is to commit to doing at least one thing that will make a difference to make a reality of these recommendations. I mean, you know better than me that the last electoral reform in June 2020 was difficult to reach and took months of negotiations. As Clotilde mentioned, it's absolutely right, there's a lot to build on. But we also need to challenge the old tradition of implementing electoral reform at the last moment and find ways to make the process more inclusive. And that will really help inject more confidence and trust within the electoral system. Elections are, of course, the cornerstone of every democracy, and Albanians need to know that their voice really matters. So please, let's lend our support, let's each of us lend support to the new processes that will take this forward, including the new Parliamentary Commission on electoral reform. Let's make sure it can work effectively at pace, that it can draw on the right expertise and turn our words today into action. As this report highlights, it's really important that civil society across Albania is engaged in the electoral reform process. To date, there rarely has been such an opportunity. And so I think now is a really good chance to show how open societies like Albania can make space for meaningful citizen
participation, either directly or through groups and organisations. And it's only through dialogue, by listening to each other, by listening to civil society as the voice of citizens, that political actors can also be fully representative of the Albanian people. And we'll each benefit from this. I mean, as I have learned from participating in several events over the last few months, and including one yesterday on women's empowerment in elections, there's a lot of expertise here in Albania that politicians can draw on to aid those efforts. So it's a pleasure to see you all here today in this room, and indeed those of you who are joining us online. That's a clear message of your commitment to this process. And Albanian citizens have not perhaps seen as much readiness from political parties to base electoral reform on an inclusive process. And that's an important commitment that's being made now. But as well as making political statements, it's really important that we implement concrete steps. And I hope that this quick report will help us identify the options and then help all of us commit to action, including building on the OSCE and other reports from last year too. So I look forward to hearing from you all recommendations and suggestions, including how the United Kingdom, as a friend of Albania, can help further. Thank you.